This video will acquaint you with changes coming to eFusion suppliers for eVid's September 2014 release. First of all, we're making some changes to search tables in eVid to allow you for better reporting as well as searching. This change is coming to your received purchase orders list. So let's review those changes. You can search your entire list of POs across all fields by using the Search POs field at the top of the page. To clear any search filter once you have sent it, click the X button next to that search term at the top of the page. Additionally, you can search by any column header by entering in your search term and clicking Apply Filter. For PO status in particular, you can filter quickly and easily through various statuses by checking the box next to various purchase order statuses and applying that filter as well. Anytime you see these search tables in eVid, there will be an additional arrow button to the right of the search columns. That will allow you to add additional search features to your table. For example, if you'd like to see your reference ID that you've entered on a purchase order, that internal tracking number that you use to manage eVid as well as your internal systems, you would simply check the box next to reference ID, click Apply, and that new search term will show up here. You can select up to 8 columns to view at any time. Once you've run any custom search, you may want to save it so you can return to it later in eVid. To do that, use the default view drop-down menu at the top right-hand side of the screen. Clicking on the drop-down menu will open up the options where you can enter in your custom search field, click Add, and that will add it to your list of search terms. To update any search saved in eVid, run that search, make your necessary changes, and click Save next to it. You can also delete it at any time by clicking X next to that saved search. Note that these saved searches will only show for you as a logged-in user, not to other users on your company's account. Another great feature of these new search tables is the export functionality. Using this Excel export icon at the top right-hand corner of any page, you can export your search to Excel for easy management. You'll choose whether or not you want to export all columns or only visible columns. Only visible columns would mean the columns currently run on your search, as you can see below in the purpled out area. Click Export to download that Excel file, and you'll have that to use outside of eVid. Additionally, you can print any search view as well. The other changes coming are related to requesting payments and issuing invoices in eVid. Previously, you would request payments off purchase orders prior to a program being closed, meaning that all change orders on that purchase order have been completed and the program was over. You'd then issue a final invoice once the program had been closed. Instead, with eVid's new functionality, you'll now be able to quickly and easily issue an invoice to request payment at any time during the program lifecycle. To issue an invoice off of any received purchase order, all you'll need to do is check the box next to one or more purchase orders in your received POs list. You can see that's activated the Create Invoice button here at the top right-hand column of my page. Clicking Create Invoice will take me into my Create Invoice view within that received purchase order. You can issue an invoice two ways, either by percentage off of the total not invoiced balance or by flat dollar amount. So if I knew I wanted to issue an invoice for, say, 50% deposit request up front, I could simply type in 50%. That's going to automatically calculate the amount of my invoice here, so eVid's going to do all that work for me. If the reverse is true, if I know the exact dollar amount that I need to issue the invoice for, I would simply type it into the dollar amount column, and that will automatically update the percentage as needed. Additionally, I can set a due date for my invoice. The due date is going to default to either the payment term set up by my client if they have chosen to do that in eVid, or it will default to today's date. To select a different date, I'd simply use the calendar pick list, select my new date, and set it there. This example is for a purchase order that only has one event. you may receive purchase orders with multiple events here. You can see that the percentage as well as dollar amount column is grayed out here. For any purchase order with multiple events, if you need to change the amount you're issuing, you'll simply click the plus icon here. That's going to open the additional fields options. And then for each event here, I can choose how much per event I want to issue this invoice for. So again, let's take the example that I need a 50% deposit off of all of my events. I can type that in, calculate it quickly, and that's going to update the amount I'm issuing my invoice for. You can see there's some other additional fields available here. Payment type is going to default to deposit, but if you wanted to select one of our other default payment types like first payment, second payment, advance payment, or balance, you could do that from this drop-down menu. Additionally, you have the option of entering in a reference ID. Again, that's that internal tracking number to help you manage both your internal invoicing system as well as Evid's invoices and purchase orders. Lastly, you have the option to upload an attachment with your invoice. This is a great place to upload a PDF or a Word version of your internal invoice that you typically would send your client if they weren't using Evid's system. To select any document saved on your computer, simply click Browse, find that document, and it will upload as an attachment here. You can see these three additional fields, payment type, supplier reference ID, and attachment, are also available for single event purchase orders as well. When I'm done entering all my information for the invoices I wish to issue at this time, I'll simply click Submit at the bottom of the Create Invoice table, and that will generate those invoices as well as send an email to my client letting them know that I've issued invoices. Clients will still be closing out purchase orders once all change orders have been agreed to and the program is over, and you'll still get an email notification every time that purchase order is closed, so you know your client is ready for a final invoice if you have not already issued one for them. Those invoices will always fall under this Action Required tab, so you can quickly and easily see any closed status purchase orders for which you need to issue a final invoice. It will work exactly the same way as issuing invoices from the Receive POs tab. So you'll check the box, click Create Invoice, be taken to the Create Invoice window. The balance is always going to default to the total amount not yet invoiced on the closed purchase order, and the due date again will calculate based off of payment terms set in Evid. It's as simple as clicking Submit to get that closed purchase order invoice sent over to my client. Additionally, we've added the ability to view and manage all of the invoices sent to all of your clients in Evid through the new Sent Invoices list under your Programs tab. As you can see, this also has our new search tables, so you can search through all your invoice fields or through individual headers as needed, as well as save searches. Every invoice will have a view-only version of the invoice that you issued your client, where you can see those details related to the invoice that you've issued them, as well as the option to print any invoice sent. From the Sent Invoices queue, you'll also notice that the new invoices have a set of two statuses. The invoice status here can be one of four statuses. Pending, meaning that the invoice is not yet approved by your client. Approved, meaning that your client has approved that invoice. Canceled, meaning that you have canceled that invoice for one reason or another. And rejected, meaning that your client has rejected the invoice you've issued them. For any rejected invoice, you may want to cancel that invoice so you can send a new one to your client. To cancel any invoice, simply check the box next to the invoice in question. That will activate the cancel button here. You'll confirm your cancellation, and that will cancel the invoice sent to your client. You can see additionally that checking the box next to one or more invoices activates this export button here. That allows you to export the invoice as a PDF or as an Excel file. Additionally, invoices have a payment status to let you know where the payment sits as far as being made by your client. Overdue will show if a payment is overdue from your client. Scheduled will show if your client has scheduled a payment for the future through Evid for this invoice, and paid will indicate that the invoice is paid in full. The open status you see here is if the invoice does not fall into that overdue, scheduled, or paid status. Typically, this means the invoice has not yet been paid, or it means the invoice has only been paid partially. It has not yet been paid in full. Another new feature coming with the September release is this new Payments tab. For the first time ever, you'll be able to view and manage all payments you've received through Evid in one easy tab. These are the same new search tables we've seen everywhere else, and it'll show the invoice payments received from your clients. From this screen, you can quickly get into any invoice or individual purchase order, as well as quickly view your client's profile. Those are the changes coming for eFusion suppliers with our September release. Should you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our support team. We're available at 312-902-3833 or via email at support@evid.com.